Could Wilyer Abreu end up on the chopping block this offseason? What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin. I think the general assumption amongst fans is that at some point this offseason, there's going to need to be a significant trade made by the Boston Red Sox. The question we're all trying to answer right now is, who is that going to be? Well, last week we went over one possible option for the Red Sox to move. Today, we're going over a second one because in today's video, we're going to be talking about the possibility of the Red Sox going out and trading Wilyer Abreu. We're going to talk about why the Red Sox may want to trade him, why the Red Sox may not want to trade him, and of course, how that could all affect the 2025 Red Sox. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. Wilyer Abreu is currently one of the most valuable players on the Boston Red Sox, especially when it comes to trade values. According to baseballtradevalues.com, which again, I say this every time because I know people don't love baseball trade values too much, but it is a good place to start when you're talking about the value of a player. Wilyer Abreu is the 8th highest valuable player on the Boston Red Sox with a value of $29.1 million. Now, to be honest with you, I actually think the value of Wilyer Abreu may be a bit higher than that. Nothing too crazy, but if you take a look at what he did in 2024, he could end up being a really valuable player. At the plate, he had a .253 average with a .322 on base percentage and a .459 slug in 132 games this season, good for a .114 OPS plus. He also cranked 15 home runs and 33 doubles to go along with 58 RBIs. For his first full season in the big leagues, that is really productive. Now, there were absolutely some swing and miss issues in his game this year, much like many on the Sox this season. His strikeout rate was 28%, which is 6% worse than the league average and in the 14th percentile in Major League Baseball, meaning that about 86% of the rest of the league struck out less than Wilyer Abreu did. But there were absolutely some real signs offensively this season from Wilyer that could point to him being a legitimate impact bat for the Boston Red Sox for years to come, and this being his rookie season at the plate, that's a really solid start to a major league career, being 14% better than the average player, still being productive despite the injuries and the struggles throughout September, and with 33 doubles, yeah, he looks like he could be a really solid player at the plate. But it wasn't only the fact that he was solid at the plate that has a lot of Red Sox fans excited about who Wilyer could be and why he's so valuable when it comes to trade propositions. The other thing here is that he was absolutely excellent on the field for the Boston Red Sox. His outs above average, which ended at 7, is the best amongst all right fielders in the AL and tied for the best in all of Major League Baseball for right fielders. His arm value in the outfield, which is essentially, is he hitting the cutoff? Is he getting guys out? Is he holding runners to one bag, right? The little things with his arm, they put a numerical value to all of that and sort of give you an idea of how valuable his arm is in the outfield. Well, that is currently tied for the second best in the AL at 3, and he has the 3rd strongest arm in the outfield this season in the AL as well. There's a legitimately good chance that Wilyer Abreu's first full season in Major League Baseball finishes with a top 3 Rookie of the Year consideration, as well as at the bare minimum, a finalist for a Gold Glove. In my opinion, I think a lot of people's opinions, he absolutely should be a Gold Glove winner for what he did in 2024. So you combine all of that with the fact that he is under team control until 2030, giving you 5 years of control with Wilyer Abreu, and there's no doubt in my mind that he is one of the more valuable players on the Boston Red Sox. So if he's so valuable, why would the Red Sox want to trade him? But before we get into answering that question, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. It just simply helps this video out a ton, and it's the best way to let me know you're enjoying the content. Thank you all very much for taking a second and doing so. Let's get into the bigger question here. There are a couple of pretty standout reasons why it might make sense for the Red Sox to move Wilyer Abreu this offseason. The first one is something Craig Breslow has really hammered home in his media tour of Boston media, and that is balancing out this lineup, right? Coming into 2025, the Red Sox most impactful hitters are most likely all going to be from the left-hand side. Casas, Duran, Abreu, Rafi, probably Roman, right? Those are probably going to be your best hitters coming into the 2025 season. They are all from the left-hand side. Balancing that out is something Craig Breslow has decided to make a really top priority. And when we're looking at it, as productive as Wilyer Abreu was at the plate overall this season, he really did struggle lefty on lefty this year. Now, part of that is because of a lack of exposure. Part of that is because he is a rookie. But overall, this season, he had a 180 average with a 254 on base percentage and a 279 slug in 50 games for a 51 OPS, plus about 49% less productive than the average hitter in Major League Baseball this year against left-handed pitching. He also only had 1 home run and 5 RBIs in that time span. And I know, again, this is a small sample size. It's hard to make any genuine conclusions. We've seen this before with Alex Cora, where they try to protect their lefties against lefty matchups until they're really sort of settled into Major League Baseball. But if the Red Sox are looking to balance out this lineup, trading Wilyer Abreu could open up the roster spot opportunity to get someone in here who is much better against left-handed pitching and who balances out this lineup a bit better than Wilyer Abreu currently does. And to me, that is absolutely one big reason why the Red Sox may want to trade him. But I think the bigger reason here is something we have been talking about basically since the All-Star break, and that is at some point the Boston Red Sox are going to have to make room on this roster for some of these guys coming up, or they need to trade some of these guys coming up so that there's room on this roster for everybody. And Wilyer Abreu is unfortunately smack dab in the middle of that conversation, because if you take a look at it, the outfield situation for the Red Sox is already pretty crowded. You've got Jarren Duran, Ceddanne Rafaela, Wilyer Abreu out there. Rob Refsnyder has an option that he is going to decide whether or not he picks up. There's still a conversation about him retiring. I don't entirely see that happening. You've got Masataka Yoshida in the DH spot, and they don't really know if they're going to play him on the field or if he's even going to be here in 2025. And then you've got Roman Anthony coming up, who may have the highest ceiling out of all of these guys, right? He's obviously a left-handed hitting outfielder. You've got Christian Campbell coming up. He has the potential to be an outfielder as well. You've got a whole lot of options in that outfield and just simply not a lot of spots. For the Red Sox, that means someone most likely has to go. And unfortunately, I think it might make sense that it's Wilyer Abreu. And I'll tell you exactly why. Because if we're looking at it, the Red Sox are focusing on trading a left-hander. That means right off the bat, Ceddanne Rafaela, Christian Campbell, those guys are probably not at the top of the trading list. Then you take a look at who's left. Jarren Duran, in my opinion, is too valuable to the Red Sox to move in a regular sort of, hey, we just need to make room. We're going to see if we can get something valuable type deal. Roman Anthony can be said is in the same boat here, but I will say I don't think they're absolutely untouchable. If the absolute perfect trade comes around, maybe they consider trading one of these guys, but at the same time too, I don't think they're looking or going out and shopping either one of these players. Massa feels like the obvious choice here, right? It opens up the DH spot. It sort of helps with the logjam in the outfield. It also helps a little bit with the logjam on the infield. The problem with Massa here is that the contract attached to him and what he's been doing over the course of his 2 seasons in both MLB and with the Red Sox make him a bit hard to move with anything other than a salary dump. You're not going to get something too valuable back for Masataka Yoshida. Wilyer Abreu, kind of smack dab in the middle of those two, right? He's not, in my opinion, as valuable as Jarren Duran. He doesn't have as high of a ceiling as Roman Anthony. It's certainly still very good. And at the same time, he's absolutely much more valuable than Masataka Yoshida is. If the Red Sox are trying to solve the problem of roster space going into 2025, Wilyer Abreu makes a whole lot of sense, especially when you sort of break down the actual realities of whether or not these guys are going to be traded. So there are a couple of really big reasons why it might make sense for Wilyer Abreu to be moved. But what I will say about Wilyer Abreu is I don't think they are going to move him just to move him, right? The assumption I think a lot of people are having right now is they need to move somebody just to move somebody. I don't think that's necessarily true. These guys aren't technically going anywhere. If you don't have room for Roman Anthony, he's still still going to be in your organization. You're not losing him if you can't make room right away on the big league roster. I don't think they trade him just to make room. I think the reason you trade Wilyer Abreu is because of the reasons we listed above and because of the fact that you can utilize him to bolster other areas that you really need to figure out coming into 2025, specifically on the pitching side of things, right? Wilyer Abreu could absolutely land you a pretty much alone a really solid either bullpen or rotational arm, probably more towards the bullpen, but you absolutely still could get a legitimate rotational arm for Wilyer Abreu. There are a lot of teams in Major League Baseball who would love to have Wilyer Abreu's services. 5 years of control, a solid rookie season, a gold glove in the outfield is an extremely valuable and extremely enticing player. And I think there is absolutely a market for Wilyer Abreu. For the Red Sox, again, in my opinion, that's either got to be a legitimate impact starting pitcher, or even if they go and they trade Wilyer Abreu for some stud pitching prospect, a guy who's not going to be impacting the team right away, but a guy who could end up bolstering this pitching pipeline in a big way come 26 or 27, that could absolutely be some value for the Boston Red Sox. Now, I have seen a couple of trade proposals already, either on Twitter or in my comment section, that have Wilyer Abreu attached to Garrett Crochet. I myself even floated that idea right around the trade deadline. I don't think that's really a possibility anymore. Not because Wilyer doesn't have the value to even start a conversation with Garrett Crochet, but more so because the Chicago White Sox are in a total rebuild, right? They aren't going to be good for a pretty long period of time. I don't think they'd be too enticed to have a guy like Wilyer Abreu who would immediately impact their big league club, but who also, by the time this team is really relevant again, probably will be getting close to or already will be in free agency. So I don't know if it's going to be Garrett Crochet level, but a team like the Seattle Mariners, who desperately need offensive production and who have a wealth of starting pitching that they claim they don't want to trade from, but hey, everybody gets desperate, may be the perfect spot for Wilyer Abreu to land. If we're looking at the overall question of this video, are the Red Sox trading Wilyer Abreu? It's impossible to answer definitively, right? We don't know what's going on in that front office. I have no idea what Craig Breslow is thinking at this exact moment, but what I can say is I think there is a legitimate possibility that we don't see Wilyer Abreu in a Red Sox uniform next year. This is the guy, in my opinion, to keep your eye on when it comes to the Red Sox trading someone away, not because I think he's the least valuable option, but because I think he's one of the most valuable options the Red Sox have when it comes to being able to move someone. And pretty much for that reason, and because of the fact that you have the ability to replace his production in this lineup, or hopefully replace his production in this lineup with guys like Anthony and Campbell, I think this makes some sense for the Red Sox to move. So if I were to answer that question, again, not definitively, I would say yes. I would say that Wilyer Abreu is towards the top of the chopping block, but that's just my opinion. So let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think? Do you think the Red Sox are going to trade Wilyer Abreu? Do you think they're going to hold on to Wilyer Abreu? And if they do trade him, what would you want them to trade him for? Let me know all your thoughts on the possibility of Wilyer Abreu being moved in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. It just simply helps out a ton, and it's the best way to let me know you're enjoying the content. Don't forget, if you want to listen instead of watch these episodes, all you got to do is head over to your favorite podcasting app and look up Red Seat Radio. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the Red Seats.